19-year-old lefty Alex Eala from the Philippines could be the next big thing in pro tennis.
This is the goal
My
to
goal
do.
is to be able to integrate myself into the WTA circuit more and to be able to handle myself better on court.
Bolted into the spotlight last month after making the semifinals at one of the biggest pro tennis tournaments in the world. The man featured in Vogue Philippines is repped by IMG, one of the biggest sports agencies on the planet, has ties to Rafael Nadal, and has over 350,000 followers on Instagram.
This week, Alexandra Eala walked into Indian Wells seated number 32, the highest any Filipino player has ever entered a WTA 1000 event in the history of the sport. Fans packed the practice courts just to watch her warm up. They are calling it the Eala effect, and at this point, the name feels entirely earned. 10 days before that, she stood inside Nike's world headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. Her portrait was mounted on the Ambassador Tunnel, the corridor that carries the images of the greatest athletes Nike has ever backed across every sport in history. She covered her face with both hands and could not speak. And somewhere between that moment and right now, a headline started circulating online. Alex Eala's coach breaks his silence over her secret $45 million Nike deal that changes everything. Before you share it, there is a version of this story that the clickbait posts buried entirely. A version where the real numbers, the actual deal structure, and what her coach genuinely said are far more interesting than any fabricated figure. Because the truth here does not need inflation. It just needs someone willing to dig past the headline. The claim starting in September 2025, posts began circulating across Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram claiming Eala had accepted a $45 million endorsement deal from a major international sports brand. The brand changed from version to version. Wilson in the earliest iterations, Nike in the ones making wider rounds more recently. The captions included a fabricated quote attributed directly to Eala, framing her as someone who planned to donate the money because ordinary Filipinos needed it more than she did. Patriotic, generous, emotionally calibrated to travel as far as possible. It worked. One Facebook post alone accumulated over 103,000 likes and more than 6,700 comments before fact-checkers caught up with it. Both Verifiles and Rappler investigated independently. Their findings were unambiguous. No official statement from Eala. No announcement from any brand. Zero coverage from any credible news organization. The quote attributed to her was entirely fabricated. The photos used across the posts were pulled from unrelated sources. And the pages publishing these stories were built specifically to manufacture engagement, not to report facts. The $45 million figure. Invented. The secret deal a construction. The coach breaking his silence. There was no silence to break, because the deal being described never existed. What her coach actually said here is where the story becomes genuinely interesting. Because Bosch has spoken publicly about Eala on multiple occasions. He has not been silent at all. What he said is simply far more considered and honest than any viral caption could accommodate. Speaking to Punto de Break at the 2025 Madrid Open, Bosch was direct about how he views the Eala project. He said it was clear from the beginning that this was something special, a project that carried the hallmark of the Rafa Nadal Academy from the moment she arrived at age 12. He described her as a very intelligent person, highly coachable, and he acknowledged with striking honesty that even he was surprised by the speed of what happened in Miami. He had always believed she could reach the top 100, he said. He simply did not expect it to happen quite so quickly. That is not a coach sitting on hidden information. That is a coach watching something unfold faster than even his most optimistic projections anticipated, and being completely transparent about it. Bosch came into Eala's story through the Rafa Nadal Academy in Manacor, where she arrived as a 12-year-old from Quezon City in 2018. His coaching background is substantial. He worked with former world number 1 Carlos Moya through Spain's 2004 Davis Cup campaign and multiple ATP titles. When Tony Nadal first flagged Eala as someone worth watching closely, Bosch paid attention. What he observed over the years that followed convinced him this was not a standard development case. It was something categorically different. The real Nike story, the Nike relationship, did not need Bosch to dramatize it. It was already built into the foundation of everything Eala had become, and it predates the viral posts by years. Eala has been a Nike athlete since 2019, when she was 14 years old and still training at the academy in Spain. Nike did not wait for her to break into the top 100. They did not wait for a viral Miami moment. They identified her years before the broader tennis world had any idea who she was. And they built something with her that goes considerably beyond placing a logo on a shirt. The clearest evidence of what that relationship actually looks like came at Wimbledon in July 2025. At her debut at the tournament, she has publicly called her favorite Grand Slam. Nike presented her with a custom white hair tie shaped like a sampaguita blossom, the national flower of the Philippines. It was not for sale. It was made specifically for her, packaged in a minimalist white box with a handwritten message. Every dream begins as a seed. Nike confirmed the item was a one-off gift, not a commercial product. Eala posted about it on Instagram. The sampaguita, the flower of my country. A reminder of where I come from and everything that brought me here. Nike women responded publicly. The bloom has just begun. A month later, in August 2025, Nike released a limited edition shirt in her honor, designed by Filipino artist Georgina Camunez, featuring the sampaguita overlaid on Wimbledon's grass courts. A Filipino national symbol placed on the most recognizably English lawn in world tennis. A deliberate, culturally specific statement from a global brand about who they were choosing to celebrate and why. That context matters enormously when you try to understand what happened on February 27, 2026, before Eala flew to California for the Sunshine Double. She stopped at Nike's world headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. Inside the Ambassador Tunnel, the corridor carrying portraits of the greatest athletes Nike has ever represented across every sport. Her own portraits were newly mounted on the wall. She stood in front of the largest one, hands pressed against her face, overwhelmed into silence. The image Nike had chosen to frame. Her emotional reaction after defeating Iga Swiatek at the 2025 Miami Open. The caption on one portrait read simply, "History in full bloom." Reports from early March 2026 confirm that Eala has renewed her Nike partnership, now operating under the confirmed designation of Global Ambassador. No financial terms have been publicly disclosed. That is entirely standard practice for Nike ambassador contracts at this tier. The company never breaks down deal structure or value for athletes at this level. Not for Eala. Not for anyone else whose portrait hangs in that tunnel. That confidentiality is precisely the gap the viral posts exploited. They called it a secret because no number was announced. The actual secret is that there was no $45 million figure. Only a partnership whose real depth Nike has been demonstrating through cultural gestures and institutional commitment rather than press releases and headline numbers. The real record when fans encounter a headline about a massive Nike deal with Eala's name attached. They do not share it because they are gullible. They share it because it feels proportionate to what they have watched her actually do. That gap between what she has earned and what the market has formally recognized is exactly the emotional opening these posts exploit. The fabricated number feels plausible because her real story is extraordinary enough to make almost any figure seem justified. Consider what that real story actually contains. She entered the 2025 Miami Open ranked 140th in the world, carrying a career tour-level record of 2 wins and 14 losses, having never won back-to-back WTA matches. She was given a wild card by the tournament organizers and was not expected to survive beyond the first round or two. What followed was one of the most extraordinary individual runs in recent WTA history. She defeated Yelena Ostapenko, 2017 French Open champion, in the second round. She beat Madison Keys, world number 5 and reigning Australian Open champion, 6-4, 6-2 in the third round. In the quarterfinals, she defeated Iga Swiatek, 5-time Grand Slam champion, world number 2, 6-2, 7-5 in a match she had to fight back to close out. She lost in the semi-finals to Jessica Pegula, but the records had already been rewritten. She became the first Filipino to reach a WTA 1000 semi-final. the first Filipino woman to defeat a Grand Slam champion at a tour-level event in the Open era. The first wildcard in WTA history to defeat 3 Grand Slam champions in straight sets at a single tournament. And on March 31, 2025, she entered the top 100 for the first time at number 75, the first Filipino in history to do so. She ended 2025 ranked number 50. Having also reached her first WTA Tour final at Eastbourne and won her first WTA 125 title in Guadalajara. She made her Grand Slam main draw debut at Roland Garros, debuted at Wimbledon wearing Nike's custom Sampaguita hair tie, and at the US Open became the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam main draw singles match. In 2026, the ascent has continued at a pace that makes even inflated headlines feel almost understandable. Semi-finals in Auckland, quarter-finals in Abu Dhabi, quarter-finals at the WTA 1000 event in Dubai, where she defeated world number 8 Jasmine Paolini before falling to Coco Gauff. On February 23, 2026, she reached world number 31, the highest ranking ever achieved by a Filipino player in WTA history, male or female. She arrived at Indian Wells this week seated 32nd. Practice crowds gathered simply to watch her hit before a single competitive point had been played. What actually changes everything? Nike, one of the most commercially calculating companies in the history of global sport, looked at a 20-year-old from Quezon City, renewed her global ambassador status, hung her portrait in their headquarters tunnel alongside the greatest athletes they have ever backed, and built culturally specific tributes around her national identity before the broader market had fully caught up to her ranking. That is not a transaction. That is a brand committing to a narrative, betting on where she is going, not simply acknowledging where she has already been. What also changes everything is what Joan Bosch said plainly and without drama. She is a special project. She is coachable. And the speed of what has happened surprised even the people closest to her. A man who coached a world number 1 looking at a 20-year-old Filipino and describing her as a special project. That sentence carries more genuine weight than any fabricated dollar figure ever could. She is at Indian Wells right now. Miami is next, where she will be defending the ranking points that first made her famous and competing at the tournament where her story turned its most significant corner. The Sunshine Double is where Alex Eala announced herself to the world last year. With a Nike partnership renewed, a portrait on the wall in Oregon, and a coach who has never stopped believing in what he is building alongside her, the next chapter is already in motion. That is the full story. The one the clickbait posts could not tell because it required context, verified facts, and the patience to go past the headline. Hit the like button if this gave you something real. It genuinely helps this channel reach the people who actually care about this sport. Subscribe if you have not already, because we are covering every move Eala makes through Indian Wells, Miami, and the clay season beyond. And drop one thing in the comments. Where do you think her ranking lands by the end of 2026? We want to know what this community thinks.